What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Extra Yard. We are lucky enough to be joined by our man, the verified hero himself. Houtz, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank you guys so much for having me, and I'm just happy that, football season's almost here.
Listen, this has been a long off-season. Oh, my God.
Jinx, you owe me soda.
Is this, okay, genuine question before we get into any of the stuff we had planned. Is this a longer off-season than last year to any of you?
This has been the worst yet, I think.
You think so?
I mean, between the Deshaun Watson stuff, the Xavier Howard, just the constant bitching from January to now. I mean, nothing's changed. Everyone just keeps saying the same thing every day, but I'm just so glad it's soon over. And then, we're going to be complaining about Tua throwing 5 picks or in a monsoon or this and that. So we'll always have something to bitch about.
Well, if he only throws 5 touchdowns, the question that we really have to ask is why didn't he throw 8 touchdowns during practice, right? Like what?
Very fucking
like
true.
What are we doing?
For sure.
I mean, eventually they're going to come out with one picture of Tua. He's going to be standing kind of sideways. It's going to look a little bit like he has a belly, maybe because of like a hoodie underneath. I mean, Skip Bayless or what's the other guy? The guy who doesn't show was Shannon Starr. Oh, yeah, Colin Cowherd. Which one of them two would comment first about Tua's weight?
Cowherd. Easy.
Cowherd.
Easy.
For sure.
Easily. And he's going to go into this tangent about weight being the predominant factor of Jamarcus Russell being a bust and how BMI is a direct correlation to how many picks you can throw.
To QBR.
Yeah, 100%. Like he's going to go all out to show you like Tua sucks. And then next week he's going to talk about how the Dolphins are still potentially a playoff team.
For sure.
Which I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how you figure that out. Maybe he's big on Brissett. I really don't know. But hey, I guess this is where we're here.
That's just what this Dolphins team has become. It's just all of the storylines you could ever possibly imagine in every different direction. We're heading into training camp. Are there any storylines that you guys are looking at particularly outside of position battles that are really jumping out to you?
Big heads on Twitter. Oh shit! Sorry.
Go ahead, Kai. No, hit us with it.
No. Sorry, my bad. I only have 1,000 followers. I can't talk. Houtz, you have the most here. I think you should.
I don't know what to say.
The voice of the real reason.
All right, we'll go back to the Dolphins. Igbo season. What you got?
Oh,
it's Igbo visor season.
Chill out. Bro. There's a difference. Once you get elevated to the, first of all, he came into mini camp with some groovy shade, so I already knew he was acting funky.
Macho man. He had the macho man.
Yeah, and then I'm seeing him in his media day photos with actual visors. Nah, bro, I'm lit. Like he's coming in to take jobs. But I think I'll stick in the DB room. I think that's probably going to be one of the more important storylines just because of how much Brian Flores uses his DBs and how many we actually are going to need throughout the year. Can Javon Holland, can Brandon Jones, can all these guys earn some PT early too, if anything? And then also too, slot cornerback, we don't really know who's going to step up and really take that role. Can Needham continue that? And let's, in the worst case scenario that Xavier does decide to sit out, I feel like we have Needham who could play outside. I feel like we have Noah who could play outside. We have a couple guys like Coleman who could play slot. So we have a lot of moving pieces there to where I just think the master musician that Flores he's going to take advantage of.
Yeah. Houtz, any storylines that are kind of jumping out to you? Again, we'll go over some position battles, but is there anything else that's kind of eating away at you?
Yeah, I mean, the glaring one is how are these co-offense coordinators going to work and how's this offense going to look, year 2 with Tua? I mean, they need to build this thing around him. They brought in the weapons. Now you want to see him go out there and execute. So, we heard him laying down the foundation early in camp. I want to see, these big plays and hear about this offense, being what we hope it can become. Yeah.
Kai, did you have anything? Or you?
Anything realistic?
Yeah.
I'm doing a show. I have to speak. So, yeah, I mean, look, honestly, I think one of the big things is, in my personal opinion, is going to be kind of the running back situation. I know you have the Trade Brown sign Bell because you're also just a very interesting human being.
Well, that's also just a theory I got from the 3 yards per carry OnlyFins.
Hey.
Sorry, quick plug.
Go
jump on that OnlyFins. Listen, their conversations are fantastic.
OnlyFins.
I said OnlyFins.
I know. I'm just specifying for people.
Oh. Not their OnlyFans. That's separate.
Yeah,
we don't talk about that.
That's Christ.
Stress down low, right? Yeah. That's just Chris with the long hair flowing in the profile picture. We don't know what else is on there.
Alf smoking a cigar.
But no, I mean, I think honestly, I think the big topic conversation is going to be kind of. I think I agree with Houtz, the co-offensive coordinators. Everyone's wondering how that's going to work, and then also just running backs. Like we all know that eventually is down the line, you're going to need a running game, and especially to open up a lot of what you want to do with these co-offensive coordinators. A lot of what they're going to want to do, I'm sure, is going to rely on play action. It's going to rely on wanting to have some sort of running game. And if you're going to rely on Savon Ahmed again, you're going to rely on Myles Gaskin or Myles Gaskins, as Juan says, again, then this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to kind of make sure you have those. So if it's trade Brown, sign Le'Veon Bell, which you're in love with Le'Veon Bell, then that's what you have to do. I just think that that's going to be a big storyline is how are these, and we're not going to really know until week 1 anyways. Yeah. But it's going to be how are these running backs really going to look in an actual gameplay? Because let's be real, the preseason doesn't mean anything.
Do you think they're done adding to the room? I'm sorry to jump in there, but do you guys think they're done adding to the room? Because, I keep looking at Sony Michel, keep looking at some of these other guys that are, Philly, they're loaded with running backs. Someone has to eventually be cut. Could the Dolphins, we saw them have interest in, Kerryon Johnson. They're clearly trying to bring someone in. So that one kind of hurt a little bit. But I don't know. I don't know if you guys thought the room was settled or if someone's going to come in here and maybe even take Myles Gaskin's job.
I think feel like it is.
What, that the room is settled?
Happy. Yeah, maybe they're happy with what they have. I think you'd have to be a little bit at least happy with what you have, but I don't think that it's settled. Agreed. I don't think you're sitting there thinking like, okay, yeah, we're extremely comfortable. Because look, you can be comfortable with what Myles Gaskin brought to the table last year. And again, everyone goes to projections and what could have happened, but you can be happy with what he brought to the table. At the same time, it's like you're not. I don't think anyone, unless you have a star quarterback, I don't think you're ever really settled at any position at any time. And for the Dolphins, look, we really don't have a running back right now. Like we have running backs, we don't have a main guy.
And that's been my thing this entire time with running back position. So these two guys give me crap literally all the time over running back because I really wanted Najee. I did. I think Najee's going to be really good. I think he would have fit this offense really well. That didn't work out. Fine. I just think there's other pieces out there that they can bring in and try. Because a guy like Le'Veon Bell is just an example. But there are other running backs out there on the market that I think you could easily bring in on a 1-year deal or something with really low guarantees, right? Put a lot of incentives in there, right? Really load it where they're going to be comfortable. And the Dolphins also aren't committed to anything. So I think Myles Gaskin is a good running back. I think Myles Gaskin, though, excels as a great second running back. That's my thing. I think he would be one of the best second running backs in the league. I just want to see that one guy that we get down really close. It's 1 or 2 yards. I'm not sure Gaskin's going to be the one to get it every single time. And so that's why I'm open to finding someone else. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so my thing with Myles is like there's always a lot of like growth from players, as Alf goes ham on the comments. A lot of growth from players where I feel like sometimes we kind of take for granted the fact that maybe Myles hasn't hit his peak. He hasn't hit his max yet, his ceiling. And I think that's kind of more or less what the Dolphins are thinking, to where it's like, okay, well, let's just go into camp with, the two Washington, the Washington guys from him, Myles and Savon. Let's see what Brown has. If he can give us anything more than Jordan Howard did, then it's a plus. And then you look at Stokes. Stokes is, kind of like the wild card. And I know, CK loves Scarlett because of the UF thing. It could happen as well. I just think they're going to go into training camp, and especially this training camp, just because I think this is the first time I see them actually have 2 scrimmages as well as the 3 games. So in a sense, you're getting a lot of competition, a lot of reps against another team, and a lot of other players. So you'll see definitely for sure in training camp what the running backs have, if they're going to have it, if you're going to need more guys, or if you're going to need some help. I'm going to venture to say I think they're going to be fine this year, short of injuries, which obviously you can't predict. And, obviously Myles has his injuries last year. Short of injuries, I really think Myles will go off this year. I just have a feeling that him and Tua have a little connection, especially when he's scrambling. They seem to always, like, I was watching the Cincinnati game recently and you saw that little 37-yard catch. He also had like a 30-something yard run too, where he fumbled at the end. So he's shown some explosion with having 3 rookies in front of him. So I'm looking forward to see what he can put together with some better O-line play.
So I know who to take from you in fantasy next season for sure. I'm going to draft Myles Gaskin right ahead of you just to piss you off. But Houtz, what is your preference in all of this? What would you want to happen if you had your way? What do you do with that running back room?
Well, my biggest thing, and I just wanted to say we should give a shout out to Myles Gaskin because, last year it seemed like they did everything they could to, try to replace him. And he said, what, hold up, this is my job. He went out there and we all know what he would have done if, 16 games, he was on pace to be a pretty good running back. So, I would have liked to see him go after Javonte Williams. Last year I would have loved to see him go after J.K. Dobbins. You mentioned Najee Harris, but you get Najee Harris, there goes your pass rusher and Jalen Phillips. So, you can kind of see what the Dolphins are doing here. You can hate to bring up New England, but they kind of almost have that New England mentality where, you don't want to say they can plug anybody in there, but they kind of feel like they can. And again, Myles Gaskin looked pretty damn good last year, and they got to feel pretty confident in what he can bring to the table if he's healthy.
Yeah, and I think that's the way they're going to run it, honestly. I think I'm not the only one. I think we were all surprised last season with the reports when Le'Veon Bell was cut free as to the Dolphins' interest and how much interest they had in him. Because according to the reports, they're willing to break the bank for him.
They were hot for him. They want a cheesecake.
They were like, here, take all the freaking money, man. Like, just take all of it. So I was a bit surprised by that. But then it kind of makes you wonder if they were willing to offer it then, what changed? So now they're not offering him anything.
I think you got to remember, too, back then, Sylvan was an unknown. Also, I think we had Dwayne Washington start a game against Kansas City, too.
DeAndre.
Was it DeAndre?
Washington?
DeAndre Washington.
Who the hell am I thinking about? Anyway,
Dwayne Haskins,
maybe I don't know.
There's a Dwayne Washington. I think there's a bunch of Washington. I think I've always got them confused too. Fantasy. Dwayne Washington, DeAndre. But that's a point. Didn't they trade for him? I mean, they tried to do everything they could to get involved in Myles Gaskin's
Which is funny. I think he was the one that went out when Le'Veon got signed. So I mean, they did look like they were, scrubbaging around for, I guess coins in the couch. In my opinion, I don't think they were really going after like the big heavy hitters. And I think that's kind of where we kind of all got caught up with. Oh no, they're gonna go get Najee. They're gonna go pair up Najee and Tua, and then they ended up going Waddle and Tua. They ended up going Waddle and Tua, and it's like so there is that theory of a run game will make a young quarterback's life easier. But there's also the theory when you put that speed with Waddle and then also pair it up with Fuller. Those safeties aren't sitting in the box. They're going to be backed up. They're going to be too deep, and you're going to have your opportunities to do the RPO and actually hand it off and gain some yards.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, I want to jump over into position battles. We can go position by position and see what would come up. But I mean, there's a lot of positions where there's just not really battles, right? And Kai, I'll let you talk about special teams at the end because I know you're really excited about that all the time.
Because there's so many special teams battles happening right now.
I mean,
wait, time out. Blake Ferguson has some serious competition.
Yeah, listen, Blakey better watch out. Blakey's got that.
The only competition he has is his political opinions. Let's be real. Okay.
I wasn't gonna say it, but it's true.
It's Captain America, bro.
Yo,
that's the only thing he has.
Kai went right to it. Thank you, Twitter. You're making this even more fun. All right, so we'll go one by one. The position battle that you're watching most closely. Right? Who's involved and who do you think is going to win it? If you had to guess right now, we'll start with you, Houtz.
I mean, you don't want me to name off every wide receiver, right? But I think it's going to be this wide receiver. I mean, we got 14 of them?
I just mean like the starting.
I know. I was just hoping you weren't putting me on the spot. But I mean, I think that's going to be the biggest thing. We continue to talk about separation last year. We mentioned Will Fuller coming in, Jalen Waddle. I mean, they brought in the speed. They brought in those players. I'm just intrigued to see, who eventually doesn't stay here because everyone loves Lynn Bowden Jr., everyone loves Albert Wilson, but as it's been brought to my attention, those are two very similar players, There's Alan Hearns in there. There's all these guys that are mixed in there. I mean, Juan put out that awesome article breaking down the roster. I mean, you could look at that to see where those receivers are, but, I mean, you need to have a guy on special teams, right? Mac Hollins, they brought in Foster. I mean, I don't know how it's going to shape up. So that, to me, is, what I'm most intrigued about, and, I won't name all 14, though. I can't do that.
No, that's fine. But if you had to guess, I'm assuming they're going to go with 11 personnel. I'm assuming that's going to be like their base package. I know 3 yards per carry has talked about that a lot. It makes a lot of sense. In that situation, they'd have 3 wide receivers out there. Who do you see as the starting 3, right? First snap, 3 wide receivers. Who are they?
Well, I was just going to I can name off my 7 I think might stick, but I got Jalen Waddle, Fuller, Parker, Bowden, got Albert Wilson in there, and I'm missing someone. Who am I missing here? There's got to be another guy.
Jakeem Grant?
Albert Wilson
no, not Jakeem Grant. I think Albert Wilson, he's a personal favorite of mine. I don't think he's going to make the roster, but I'm not going to throw Albert Wilson to the Wolves. I mean, you've kept him around, so that's the only reason he's here. But Preston Williams. Okay, so Preston Williams, Devontae Parker, Will Fuller, Jalen Waddle, Albert Wilson, Lynn Bowden Jr. I think that should be 7. I don't know. Those are my guys.
That's a really good set. But it is going to be.
You need that special teams. You need that. You need a Matt Collins. You need one of those guys. And again, why'd you bring him in this offseason if you're going to get rid of him right away? So
and you've got a Robert Foster too, who you're going to kind of look at for stuff like that.
First receiver they signed in free agency. I mean, what the hell?
Very first receiver. And they just went and signed Alan Hearns, and I think that might be more than camp body.
They extended him.
Like
They extended him. Yeah, exactly. So
there's going to be a lot more there. I think the only position that I think any of us would say is open is really that slot wide receiver position, just because I think it'll be Fuller and Parker, and then the slot's going to be open. But I mean, that I don't think any of us would even argue that's Jalen Waddle's job. Basically, immediately.
I will say that.
Go ahead, man.
I will say that I feel like Waddle. Most of the rookies, I feel like they're gonna get slow played into the team. I've never really seen a rookie just come in and start right away and have 60, 70 snaps a game. It's hard, you know. And the only rookies that really did it, I think, were Solomon Kinley, Austin Jackson. So just offensive linemen. Usually, especially defensive side of the ball, offensive side of the ball, especially skilled positions, they kind of like to slow play them in. That's why I kind of feel like they might end up keeping both Wilson and Lim Bowden Jr. Just because, especially week 1, we're looking at Fuller already having that suspension or still having that suspension. So that wide receiver 4, whoever it is going to bump up, and then so on and so forth. So I feel like they're going to end up keeping all 3 or 2.
Okay. Juan, did you want to go with your most interesting position battle and who you think is going to win it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for sure the most noteworthy one, the one that's like everybody talking about, is the wide receiver one, obviously. But I feel like one that is needing as much attention into it is kind of like the lineup with the offensive line. I feel like this is going to be kind of like a jigsaw puzzle throughout the offseason or throughout training camp, just to kind of find like the best 5 guys. Does Skura still, play at a high level and play center? Does Dieter beat him out? Does Tom Cameron with 2 first names beat him out? There's a lot there. You could put Solomon Kinley at left guard. You could put Liam at right tackle. You could put Jesse at either one of those 2 spots. I think the only 2 spots I would say are solidified are Austin Jackson at left tackle, and then Robert Hunt at right guard. Outside of that, I feel like it's whoever wants to get it, go and get it.
So I feel like you have very little faith in Matt Skura.
I do. He makes me nervous.
Like
he makes me nervous.
The signing though, like that.
No, yes, no, you've had little faith the whole time.
Yeah. So, since he signed, I just
the yips. That's the big thing that he gets.
It's that like it's like. Okay, like if we're gonna say, well, we need to get you to 2019 form, it's like, okay, well, what happened in 2020? And it's like, oh, he forgot to snap the ball. What is he getting? What is he getting signed to do?
Hold on. Maybe the fact that we were in a pandemic, right? The pandemic freaked him out. He's like, how do I snap the ball? I'm freaking out. I got so much else to worry about.
That could be as well. According to Mike too, he was snapping the ball to a running back. So I mean,
I've never said that.
Is that you or Kai that hates on Lamar Jackson?
I said that the Ravens were going to be better than the Browns. That's not
Who
me.
Who hates on Lamar Jackson? I think somebody here hates on Lamar Jackson.
I said that Lamar Jackson can't really throw, but that's not. I'm not really.
Oh, come on.
Okay, well there you go. So yeah,
that was you, Kai.
I like Lamar. Lamar.
Here we are. This is why I bring up Skura. I think they just talked about it on the last 3 yards per carry.
Yeah,
it's true.
It is 100%. Yeah,
and you got to give him this. He can block, right? There's that one thing he can't do.
Sure he could block. The only thing I will say too is I feel like the wild card in that center position is Dieter, just because I feel like we probably think he's trash, and maybe the Dolphins just have seen differently than us, and
that dude's stuck around for a long time.
He's been around for a while.
So my thinking is, okay, maybe they're just comfortable with, okay, well, Skura can't snap, then all right, Dieter, you're next man up, and time to get it.
I'm sure there's guys they can sign to that are still available in terms of centers that they think will be serviceable and that they can use. How do you think Skura does end up winning the starting job, or do you think his yips end up being his downfall?
I mean, I think he definitely has the inside track. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about Ted Karras and, what Kilgore before him and those guys. But, I mean, this guy think that he has the potential to be better than them. And so, I mean, I think I like the sign. I think it's kind of low key. But, I mean, to sit here and say that things are figured out, I don't know if you can hear my kid just going crazy. But to say things are sitting here and, figured out would be a complete understatement. I think we all agree the Dolphins should go back in time and draft a center because there were some damn good centers they had a chance to get. Forgive me for the kid.
No, you're good. Man, there was a lot of centers. That was another one that a lot of us thought. So then, okay, I think we'll assume that Skura is going to win it just because they went on and got him in free agency. Left guard, you said, was still available, and right tackle. All right. So, Kai, who do you have starting either of those two? You can pick one of the two.
Well, son, from what we went through last week, you said left guard and right tackle?
Yeah.
So I tried to keep last week during the show, I was trying to keep tabs. I think there's a couple players I might have missed, but I tried to collectively keep our 53-man roster here, so we can bring it up whenever we needed to. So for left guard, we had what, like, it's not left guard, but at least at tackle, guard, etc. We were having kind of thinking, Eichenberg, Dieter, Jesse Davis, right, and then for tackle was Robert Hunt, DJ Fluker.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ooh,
that's pretty.
Oh wait, sorry.
Scary.
Robert Hunt, I put him at right guard.
Yeah. Oh, so you put Hunt at? You don't think he's going to start at tackle? You think they're going to start Fluker at tackle then?
Well, if they start Hunt at right guard, I'm fairly confident saying they're just going to put Kinley at left guard and call it a day.
They would have to, and you're moving Eichenberg out to tackle.
I would put Eichenberg. I would put Eichenberg at whichever position he's better at between left guard and right tackle. And then the battle for me would be whoever. Well, no, because see, that's the thing. If Eichenberg, to me, if he's a better left guard than anybody else on the team, then Jesse Davis is your starting right tackle.
Man, I will tell you, that's tough though, because I mean, at that point, you're getting a guy in Solomon Kinley who played a lot of snaps immediately last season, and you're booting him off the starting line. Like, he's gone, and he's not. And he's not a big swing guy, right? Because when I'm thinking swing, I'm thinking can play guard or tackle.
Fluker's more swing,
right?
Jesse Davis is more swing, but
Kinley might be able to swing between guards. But
you talking about right guard and left guard?
Yeah.
I mean, in a pinch, I feel like he could do that.
But then if he's out of his spot at right guard for Robert Hunt, I mean, he doesn't have too much of a spot on this roster. I mean, other than maybe 7th or 8th guy.
If we went Austin Jackson left tackle, if we went Jesse Davis left guard, Skura center, Hunt at right guard, and then Liam at right tackle, at that point, I feel like wait, who are we talking about?
I'm not gonna tell you. I want to see.
There were so many names.
Solomon
Kinley.
No, there was Fluker. That's what I was talking about. Fluker at that point, if Jesse Davis is starting, would be the swing. If Jesse Davis isn't starting,
I think Fluker might have a chance at the swing. Like, I think it'll be between him and Jesse Davis in terms of a camp battle. Which one of them comes into the swing?
Yeah.
I put Solomon Kinley at left guard personally, just because I think Solomon Kinley did enough last year to deserve another shot going into this season. Houtz, I don't know how much of that you cut, but whatever you did. I mean, the offensive line, we're talking about Solomon Kinley, where he fits in.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't catch much of it, but I think what Juan was saying there, I mean, that sounded pretty decent to me. And you mentioned Kinley. I mean, I liked what he did as a rookie. You know, he's the big fish. But the one thing we continue to talk about is competition. And I mean, they have tons of offensive linemen, and this staff, I mean, they don't care where they were drafted or any of that. So, yeah, exactly, good. And you know, these guys, versatility. I mean, you talk about on the defensive side, you talk about on the offense. I mean, they love these guys. They're interchangeable. So, I won't sit here and predict the offensive line, but I think that the Dolphins, you know, I think with the pieces they brought in, with what they already had here, I think, you know, this offensive line should be much better than it was last year.
Yeah.
But again, it all comes down to that center position, and they did this to themselves.
And honestly, maybe I'm just speaking from just bad experiences as a Dolphins fan. I'm just happy to be sitting here talking about what we consider a surplus, as opposed to the horrible deficit that we've been facing for, I don't know, my entire life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of, and I'm gonna give Omar Kelly the credit on this one. Outside of the unicorns, when they were at their peak, right? Mike Pouncey, Laramie Tunsil, and
Brandon Albert,
Juwan James. When that line was together, that was a
right guard
freaking line, dude. It didn't matter.
Was it John Jerry though? No,
I think Davis played a couple games with them. When it was Brandon Albert. At left tackle is Brandon Albert, and then it went Laramie Tunsil, Mike Pouncey, Juwan James right tackle.
It's a pretty nice line.
That's a very nice line. It was
John Jarrett. That's what, 2016, 2017?
No, that would have been like what, 2014, 2015, no?
It doesn't matter. We're talking about the guy who turned into 80,000 draft picks in Laramie Tunsil. Praise be Tunsil. All right. Kai, praise be Tunsil, bro. That guy did great. Kai, give me your most interesting position battle outside of what they've mentioned. So if it was one of those two, too bad.
I mean, it wasn't one of those two at all. I was going to say, look, man, and in a joking way, long snapper, bro. Blake Ferguson. Look, I was doing some research about Rex. I do not know how to say his last name. Rex Sunahara.
Wait, that's the second long snapper's name?
Second long snapper that we have on the
field. That's a serious competition. Rex, that's a hell of a name.
That's a great
Which one
name.
of you guys are going to cover this? That's what we need. We need someone there.
Facts.
Wait, like legit, I did it as a jokey manner, but actually learning a lot. You know, his brother, Blake, I can't remember Blake Ferguson's brother, but his brother's a damn good long snapper for the Bills. Sucks that it's for the Bills, but he's a really good long snapper. You know, Blake did well last year, but it turns out, like, just in the little bit of, I obviously haven't watched anything else, but just in looking at stuff about Rex Sunahara, dude seems like a pretty damn.
Doesn't matter. His name is Rex, right? At that point, you can go Captain Rex from Star Wars. You can go Rex from Toy Story. There's too many good options.
In a joking way, legitimately, I think that like long snapper has been a position that they obviously have not been happy with in the like. I understand special teams, some people don't really matter, but you come out and
they don't matter until your kicker blows a kick.
Exactly.
Oh, listen, John Denny was a hero.
John Denny was here for a very long time. Everyone considered
92 should be retired.
Snappers in the league.
As he 19.
Gets cut, and they bring in. Can't remember his name. I interviewed him last year. They cut him. They bring in the other guy who's now with San Francisco. And then they draft Blake Ferguson. Then they cut him. And then now they had Sunahara on the practice squad. They signed to a futures deal. It seems like they're like, I know long snapper is always going to have kind of competition because it is what it is, and it's special teams, but like they definitely aren't, I don't think, satisfied, like just being like, all right, yeah, we'll just have this guy stick around. Like it seemed like it was like 2 years at the time that John Denny was here, he had competition. 1 year he beat the person out, the next year he got cut. So it's like they definitely aren't that happy with it, especially if they're keeping Sunahara on, which means that they liked what Blake did last year. But still, I know I can't remember his damn name, but the guy that they had before, who's now the long snapper for the 49ers, I know a big thing that I had heard kind of about one of the stuff that they were upset with him about is how quickly he got down the field and some of his tackling issues. So I think that's one of the things that was always kind of
Danny could freaking tackle. I remember Danny making a lot of special teams tackles. And I was like, I have not seen that from a long snapper in my lifetime. I mean, that was great to see. So I'll go back to real positions.
Screw you.
Nice jab at the end.
Tabor Pepper, that was his name.
Yeah, Tabor Pepper.
He's a cool guy, by the way.
I think for me, position battle wise, and this is just more because I think right now it's
not joke. Can I say it for real though? I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. No, you good.
As a legitimate non-joke. Wait, so they both said wide receiver or wide receiver and
no, he went wide receiver, he went offensive line.
Perfect. Okay.
Don't take the one I was about to say.
I can't pick the fuck. What are you gonna say? I'll take it.
Do you want me to go?
6'5". Holy shit.
Okay. Here, I'll go while you think of yours. I was going to go with safety, specifically free safety.
I was going to go either safety or corner.
Now that
if X gets traded.
Yeah. Now that Bobby McCain is out the door, and we all know how important Bobby McCain was in terms of communication with this offense, in terms of leadership, that's going to be a really interesting gap to fill from a lot of different perspectives. So filling in Bobby's role is going to be two things. One, the position, and two, the kind of presence. Right. I don't know if that presence is going to be filled by Bernardrick McKinney. Maybe Jerome Baker is going to be doing a little bit more of that. Because if I'm not mistaken, there was a lot of reports coming out about them wanting Jerome Baker to take on a lot more of that leadership stuff. And then they just kind of told him, okay, just go back to focusing on some of this other, like just football. Just go blitz, get after the ball, do your thing. So there are options there. You have Brandon Jones. You got the new guy, Javon Holland, who I'm going to be rooting for because he's an anime fan. So now he's my guy. Like
you say that every time.
He put out one anime tweet. That's it. Goated. Totally goated.
A question to that for the free safety, like, and even the term of leadership. Do you think that they might try to give some of that leadership potentially to a Brandon Jones or a Javon Holland to try to take a little bit?
And that's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
I know you can't replicate. Like, I know a lot of us would get mad with Bobby, and for what it's worth, Bobby came here from Memphis, a 5th-round draft pick, right? Was a nickel corner that ended up being a serviceable free safety for the team and a leader. Like, as much as you want to get mad at him, that's a great story. That's a great NFL career thus far. So we're happy for what he did.
Yeah.
But I mean, Brandon Jones, I feel like personally had a little bit of a quietly pretty good year last year. Like,
not amazing, right?
I don't even think it was that quiet, personally.
That motherfucker blew up. Really, I don't know who he blew up. He blew up somebody for Shaq Lawson. I'll never forget that.
Like, some people weren't really talking about him, but it seemed like every game he was kind of getting better and better and better. So do you think that it's going to kind of be whoever wins that starting role between
my thing with Brandon Jones would be, and I'll throw this up to Juan. I feel like Brandon Jones plays a lot closer to the box and plays a lot further down than Bobby McCain did, and then that leaves you kind of open on the back end, which brings the third name I was going to bring in, and I feel like this is where Juan might have been going, the McCourty twin.
I don't know, because I was literally watching today Cincinnati game, and various points in the game they had Holland and McCain. I mean, not Holland and McCain.
I was like, Holland's already here. Yo,
they had they had McCain and they had Brandon Jones playing too deep, and then they had Eric Rowe actually just covering tight ends.
Right.
So to me, this is going to be one of the most like position flexible spots in the entire roster where you can't put McCourty in at slot, you can put Needham at slot, you can put them at safety if need be, and you can move so many pieces around that you're not really identifying 22 is the free safety when it really could be 29, or it could be 21, or it's going to be so interchangeable to where I feel like we're really going to see Flores get really creative this year.
Oh, for sure. Houtz, can you give us some verified thoughts on the safety position?
Some verified. I like that. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I am. I think Javon Holland will be, kind of that guy kind of forced into that role. I mean, we talked about him taking on more of that leadership, getting some of those calls throughout early in camp. So I want to see the way he can do that. But I mean, this is something that people aren't talking about. We have a lot of young players that this team is relying on. And you mentioned Bobby McCain being gone. I mean, a lot of fans, we thought Bobby McCain was up and down, but when he was out of that lineup last year, I mean, you could see it. Man. So to lose him, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But, like Juan said, these guys are interchangeable. You mentioned Brandon Jones playing down the box, but I've seen, Javon Holland, when you watch some of that tape in 2019, I mean, he's down in that box. He can play in the nickel as well. I mean, these guys, I mean, they're interchangeable. And I think that's kind of, what I guess the NFL's moving towards and kind of what Brian Flores is doing here. I mean, everybody they bring in here, we keep talking about versatility. So I don't know the way it'll shape up, but I think a lot of us need to realize that it's going to take Javon Holland, coming in there and being as good as the Dolphins think he is, to be able to take up and do the things that Bobby McCain did, because so much of that was lost because we don't hear what he was doing before snap.
Yeah. And to Bobby McCain's credit, there was a lot of people, and I would say a lot of us, I'm not saying who specifically, I know I was one of them, that kind of doubted Bobby McCain.
I doubted him on
the move to safety. Sure, a lot of us were like, "Oh, just put him back in nickel corner, man. Like, what are you doing? That's his best." He did what he had to do, and I feel like you learn to appreciate him most. Like Houtz was saying, when he was out, that Kansas City Chiefs game, I will confidently say this: I feel like the Dolphins win that game if Bobby doesn't sit out those plays that he had to sit out.
It was only like 3.
It was like 3, and they were all touchdowns. They were all touchdowns.
Literally.
One was a run. Right, on an end around. Another one was the deep pass to Tyreek Hill. I'm going to be really interested to see where it goes, but I agree with you guys. I think the amoeba part of what they're going to do with it, right, the interchangeability they have in that entire defensive back room. And I know this was talked about before too, Byron Jones. I don't think it's going to happen now or anytime soon, but I know a lot of people have talked about maybe you could put Byron Jones at safety, right, if things move a certain way later on in his career. So the things that Brian Flores can do, that's why he goes out and signs 14 defensive backs, because he just wants to have all of them on the field at the same exact time. And I love it.
And let me tell you, there will draft a DB every single year. Like people who were like, "Oh, they drafted Javon, but Brandon Jones, that means he's a waste of a pick." Nope.
They're going to draft an entire team of defensive backs before they give me a running back. They give me a running back.
Those same people are also the people that didn't watch Brandon Jones at all last year.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying like low key, because no one else really is saying it, because those are the ones that go, what a waste. Oh, well, it is.
No, what it is. Kyle, you got to remember, it's easier to say the whole draft class was trash than to.
Oh, he didn't have the interception numbers. That dude came on the field earlier than all of us thought. And what was he? Was he a 4th or 5th round pick?
No, I think he was
a
third. I think
no, might have been 3rd.
He was the one that came in and memorized all the playbooks, wasn't he? He memorized like a bunch of teams' playbooks and was super smart in his meeting because he was hurt.
All I know is
couldn't work out.
And often he was on 3rd downs and 3rd and long packages. So those are the packages where Flores is getting super creative, getting really funky. And if he's trusting him as a rookie to do that, it's for a reason.
Yeah. Right now, it's like Brandon Jones and Javon Holland. And what's holding up Brandon Jones is like his football plan. What's holding up Javon Holland is his anime love in my book. So that's where I'm right there with either one of them, man. One of them.
We're not losing this year. We're not losing this
year. We're not losing. We're not losing. Kai, you have to have a position by now.
I'm just gonna go with the corner room. If X gets traded, like I'm gonna add in like a little asterisk mark there, and I'm gonna try to do that because then I think it's really interesting because right now, obviously, it's gonna be Byron and it's gonna be X. But if they trade X, which I think no one thinks is gonna happen, but just to kind of play a little fun here, if he does get traded, I think it gets interesting. Is it really Igbo Visor season? Like, do you have him out there taking that spot? Do you think that he's ready for that? Youngest player in the NFL last year, now coming in to his second season. Do you want to trust putting Nick out, on the boundary again? Yep. In the first year you had him in the boundary, then you move him out to play the nickel. You kind of sign someone that you think is going to be his replacement already in, like a Justin Coleman. You're not trusting Jason McCourty to be like that starting boundary guy right now and hit the stage of his career. So I think that can potentially get interesting if X gets traded. If not, I think you're just looking at the nickel corner battle between either Nick Needham or Justin Coleman. And I still wouldn't be shocked if both of them are on the team.
I would throw in there too, Javon Holland too.
Yeah, I mean even Byron, because Byron did that a little bit in Dallas.
Yep.
Same thing with the safety boundary in the nickel. I think honestly, and I know we talked about it last week when we did our depth chart breakdown. I seriously do think that there's a possibility that Nick Needham can lose that battle to Justin Coleman and still have a role on the team.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that's why Nick I had him like that. Guys that are one of the guys that are going to cut. And who knows what they could try to trot him out there at safety. I feel like Nick has a place on this team for as long as he's going to be productive, because I think that we saw when everyone was saying get number 40 off the field to let him wear that number, and he has turned into someone that Brian Flores truly likes. So as long as he's here and he's signing contracts that are reasonable, I mean, he's not going to ball out and be amazing.
As long as I don't have Jamal Perry in the slot, I'm happy. And no shade to that guy, but he's about as tall as me. So
I did want to use this moment to kind of transition.
He's 5'9".
He's like 5'9", bro. They look short on the field, but they're still taller than.
No, I thought he was
most
going to say
people we know.
Short, that's why I was like, 5'9" is not horrible. Like
I did want to use this moment to ask Houtz though, because we have asked other people. I mean, it's just a big talking point right now. It's just what it is. The Xavier Howard situation, right? What do you make of that whole thing? What would you do? Like, how would you kind of handle it? What do you think is going to end up happening? Just what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think it's clear he wants those guarantees, right? I mean, I think we all realize that after this year, he doesn't have anything. So you kind of put yourself in his shoes and see where he's coming from. But I also put myself in the Dolphins' shoes and see where they're coming from. I mean, this is a guy who's played hurt throughout his career. I mean, now he wants to be paid huge money after he just agreed to a contract. And I mean, again, then they brought in Byron Jones. So again, you see where Xavier's coming from. So I go back and forth. But yeah, and they drafted Noah, so he felt them breathing down his neck. So, I mean, I don't know how it'll come about. I mean, if a guy really wants more money, like people have said, you're not sitting out losing $50,000 every day if you truly want the money. So, yeah, no, hell no. So, I don't know how it'll play out. I mean, he'd be traded as soon as we get off here. I mean, this is Brian Flores, it's unexpected, but I want them to find a way to give him those guarantees and let him go out there and ball out again, and then you guys can come to the table again and hopefully reach an agreement, because I think we can all agree, this defense is not going to be the same without Xavier Howard, no matter how good Noah Benogany is.
Yep. That's kind of the thing, right? Replicating 10 interceptions, no matter how many DBs you throw at it, is so difficult.
Byron had 2 for his career before becoming a Dolphin and has 4 for his entire career.
He doubled them
in 96 games, when Howard has 22, and I think it was in 57 or 53 games. So it's hard for anybody to sit here and say just trade him. He's gone. He's a cancer. Yeah. He's terrible, because the guy produces. And you're gonna say, oh well, he's been healthy. Okay, yeah, and he's also played opposite of Bobby McCain. Had 7 interceptions in 12 games in 2018. The guy produces. So
and he's picked off guys like Tom Brady consistently, and Tom Brady doesn't throw ducks or bad throws.
I think he's done it. I think multiple times where he's gotten 2 interceptions on Tom Brady.
I think he has 4 or 5 total on him.
So, I mean, for me, it's like at some point, it's like he's an elite player, and not that you're going to bend over backwards for every player, but damn, like if there's any player that you would ideally, maybe think about it, it's Xavier. He's your best player on the team. And
that's one argument that I did not understand at all, coming from Twitter in general, but specifically Dolphins. So I'll call him out on this one. The whole, but what kind of precedent are you setting?
Twitter?
Rescheduling what?
Dolphins Twitter.
Your favorite? Yeah, your best friends.
My bad.
Like what kind of precedent are you setting? Reworking a contract after 1 year.
Precedent that an all-pro season gets you paid. I'm okay with that.
We're not used to this. We're not used to this
at all. An out of this world season. Other NFL players have come out and said it. A 10 interception season is so difficult to get.
Brian Flores' scheme is impossible because you're literally on an island,
and it's not like he only did it against bad quarterbacks, right? It's not like he had total famine and then was like, all right, Sam Darnold, I'll take 5 from you, right?
What did he got? Like Patrick 7 Mahomes, games in a row.
He got Josh Allen. Like he got all the real dudes. That's going to be really hard to replicate. I don't care who you throw out there. So I think we're on the same page, right? Like find a way to get him some guarantees, find a way to keep him on the team. I think even at the risk of injury, a player like Xavier Howard is absolutely worth it. Just absolutely worth it. And I don't think any of us would kind of disagree with that. On the contract front, though, I did want to bring this up too.
Houtz used to disagree with that.
What's that?
Sorry, I love you, Joshua, but I got to put you on
I'm kind of spacing. What do you say?
Joshua Houtz used to be an Xavier Howard hater.
Oh, I was. I watched this tape and all I did was grab at Baylor, and I was a little I don't know who I wanted. Was it Miles? I don't know. Was that the same draft Miles Jack came out? Because that might have been.
I have no idea, but I never forget that. Yeah, and I remember quote tweeting you like 3 times before we were like friendly, and being like,
"So you're one of those." Well, what I say? What I say? Was I like he's I mean, it was probably after 1 year, right? So he's probably.
I feel like he had a rough rookie.
I've learned you got to give
his
3 years at least.
Yeah.
Oh no, with Tannehill it's 7.
And with Tua, it's 9
games. 8 or 9.
Yeah. I just remember you tweeting something, and I remember thinking like, I remember like, man, I'm about to, dude, this he's not
hold up
a chance, bro.
Put it in the group chat because I got to see these. I don't deny.
Is this why you brought him on? Is this why we asked how to come on?
He's like, wow, dude, if you look up my @ and Xavier Howard, I dunk on Houtz a lot about it. I've done it a lot.
This is news to me. I never. He has so much hatred towards me for this.
People are wrong all the time. Listen. You think Juan's gonna let me live it down a year from now if Myles Gaskin does great?
Like I'm never right about this stuff. So the fact that I was right about X is like my saving grace in life.
I remember being excited about him, but I didn't really understand too much about football. So I think I was like, man, he's such a physical corner. That's exciting. But looking back, I'm sure if I watched it now, I'd be like, does he ever not have a jersey in hand? Like, what?
In my defense, you were trying to watch a corner on that freaking just YouTube game film. You don't see shit. You just see him run out the picture. It's like, come on, man, give us some all 22 so we can at least break this thing up. But I'm gonna have to look it up. One thing with X that I just hate is that people turn that into a negative towards Byron Jones. I mean, can't we just be happy with both these guys? I mean, when they brought Byron Jones in here, I mean, okay, you want to call me out again, Kyle? I'm pretty sure I said Byron Jones was better than Xavier Howard last year as far as being a man-to-man press corner. I mean, what we saw him do in Dallas last year to get that contract, I mean, it was so freaking impressive. So I think, we're sitting here praising Xavier Howard, but we can't overlook that if Byron Jones wasn't on that side, maybe those interceptions come down a little bit. So I think they're both great corners. I think Dolphin fans have to choose a side for whatever reason, but let's just be happy with what we have. I mean, they're pretty good corners.
Imagine a time when you have Sam Madison and Patrick Surtain and you're trashing Patrick Surtain because Sam Madison wants some extra money.
Man, those were the days.
Can't say anything better than
or Vontae Davis and Sean Smith, because those guys were, for me, my favorites growing up.
And Sean Smith was the interception getter. I remember
Vontae wants to call his grandma.
Yeah. Oh, listen. I feel like I just thought that about somebody that got traded recently. And I was like, I wonder if they called their grandma when they walked in the GM's office. Who was that?
I don't remember, bro, but I remember you saying that 100%.
Yeah, gosh, that was the best Hard Knocks moment I saw that year. One other contract I did want to ask you is about Mike Gesicki. I know that he's probably not getting an extension this year. What does need to be brought up on him is, do you guys think he's just out the door? And this is what I will say. He's liked around the league.
He would have to have a franchise year.
Like he's liked around the league, and he's liked by really notable guys. I mean, I heard this on the 3 yards per carry. I know that he was there. I didn't know he was coaching, but he was coaching at Kittle and Kelsey's tight end academy or whatever. Yeah. Telling them, listen to Gesicki. He knows what he's doing. And this is
Kelsey's big on Gesicki. He's called him, I think, a top 10 or top 5 tight end previously.
Listen, I'd call for sure top 10, and I'd argue top 5.
I'd say top 8. I think I did it.
We all did it on here.
Yeah.
I'd put him around like top 5, honestly.
Yeah.
That's just where I think it should be. So, Juan, you say that Gesicki's out the door.
I just think he's out the door. Not yet, but the minute Mark Andrews signs a contract, then that's like the nail in the coffin for me. And the only reason I say that is with players that are due for big raises, like Xavier, like Baker, like Gesicki, usually, look, you see, there you go.
You just wait. I love when him and Alfredo agree, because it just reminds me of every single time that they disagree. We start yelling at each other, and I think to myself, when that first started happening, I was like, "Listen, Juan, do not ruin the connection we have with Alfredo and make this bad for us, okay? So shut your mouth and just agree for now."
We bonded.
Yeah, good.
But no, I think the history of the Dolphins trying to, I guess, beat the market. You saw it with Baker beating, Warner and Leonard coming up.
Transition.
And then I think for me, if Mark Andrews does sign his deal, you kind of start to read the room and say, okay, they're not really prioritizing Gesicki like they did with the other guys, where they would try to get him on a cheaper deal and beat the market in a sense. But what can you do?
Man, Kai's got so many monitors over there. I'm pretty sure he's taking a picture of a fourth one or something. Boy, loaded with his monitors.
He's living
the big life.
I got 4 monitors, and all I'm gonna say is the after party. Yo, Alf, if you want to come in, the after party after this show. let's just say I did some research on a couple things and found a couple fake things. So that's all.
Oh dang, my dog is hot. Okay, so I want to do a little game just because why not? Right? You're saying he has to have what did you say about Gesicki? Was it you or Kai that said he has to have an all-pro season? Or an amazing season?
Yeah. I feel like franchise he has to have an outstanding season. Yeah.
Okay, for him to come back.
I just think I love Gesicki. I think Dolphins fans in general love Mike Gesicki. I think the biggest thing is just seriously you draft Hunter Long. All the rumors about will they draft Kyle Pitts, and I'm sure they would have wanted to. If Jalen Waddle's gone, I'm sure they would have tried to get Kyle Pitts. Let's say if it falls in their way and everything. I just think they drafted a guy. Obviously, it takes at least a year for a tight end to even kind of get into that system. So as much as myself and people, are hyping up Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts could suck this year. That doesn't mean he's not going to be good next year.
But don't like that.
No. That's not what you guys told me, because Kyle Pitts was going to be all pro right away as a rookie. And I was crazy for wanting Jalen Waddle.
As a rookie, he was in wide.
You folded from Waddle though, so I'm not going to give you full credit.
But
okay, I was a lot closer to it than you boys were.
Legitimately, I just think that he just has to have a great season. If he doesn't have an outstanding season, then they're just not going to sign him, because it's conversations that people have with key players. Even if they're not great, but they're valuable to us, someone's going to pay them.
I think it's the opposite though, Kai. I think if he comes out here and he balls, has 1,000 yards, 6 TDs, I think.
But then what do you think his market's going to be?
Well, okay, so
that's what I'm saying.
Best tight ends in the league.
So here's my thing. That's my argument to giving him an extension now, right? Because he doesn't have that statistics.
Yeah,
to be okay, we got to pay him a ton.
Because here's the thing. Look at what. Sorry, go ahead, Kai.
No, I was just gonna say. I know. Just for anyone who's wondering, Houtz has children. He had to go. Just want to thank him really quick because he did come on,
bro.
And we're going
to talk about talking actually about football. Anybody else? Alfredo got to talk about football. Alfredo got crazy. Football. But when we don't have these people on, we're just guys.
Yeah.
Woof. Guy's gone.
Anyways, no, I thought you were going to take over. So that's why.
No, I was handing it back to you. I was just.
No, I did want to thank Houtz because we were going to talk about that. But that's why I just as a lead in before I guess we get into the actual stuff with Jerome Baker. If they sign him in 2 weeks, I'm completely fine with that, because then the next guy after is going to get a big deal. It's just what it is. So it's I know people were upset with the Jerome Baker stuff, and talking about this and that, but let's be real, guys. It doesn't matter who you are, what the fans value someone at. Once you see one guy get an extension, that next guy up is the one that's sitting there.
Yep.
Darius Leonard today tweeting, "Oh, congrats, my guy." That's not congrats, my guy. That's you just made me an extra $6 to $10 million on my contract. Thank you.
Yep.
It is what it is.
And so that's why. And my thing too is I love Jerome Baker. I think he's a fantastic player. I love his character. I just think he fits exactly what I want on this team. I just think on the football field, he and Mike Gesicki have done similar things to me, where I would say I think Gesicki deserves that contract.
Here's my issue right now. The Patriots, I don't want to say they set the tight end market, but they definitely boosted it up to where Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry both got $12.5 million a year. You guys know what Jonnu Smith's stat line was last year? 41 catches, 448 yards, and 8 touchdowns, all career highs.
Yeah, but I think that's going to be a little different because they'll just come back and listen. The Patriots overpaid on everybody,
and that's fine.
Everybody.
You got to remember at this point. I'm doing the hypothetical if we get past to like week 1 when he's not signed. Mm-hmm. At this point, you're not just negotiating by yourself if you're the Dolphins. At this point, you're negotiating with 31 other teams. And if Gesicki hears, hey, you guys are offering me 10, but this team is offering me 14, are you going to franchise him? Are you going to go down that route?
I just think here's the thing, right? We always talk about, oh, you know, the Dolphins are doing this like the Patriots did it. Oh, the Dolphins are doing this like the Patriots did it. And tight end is one that they're just going to let kind of chill. Because let's be honest, Mike Gesicki is the best tight end in that room by a large margin.
Yeah.
I don't care what Hunter Long is going to do because Hunter Long is a rookie. I don't know what he is.
Yo, but what if Hunter Long balls out?
Yeah, what if Hunter Long balls out?
It's not going to happen.
No. But like, what if? But here's my thing, right? If in my head, I'd rather give Gesicki the extension because then we just saw what X did when he felt slighted by the team because they went and did some other stuff.
Yep.
Gesicki's sitting here saying you gave Durham Smythe an extension, right?
No, I don't know. He's not.
They gave Durham Smythe a contract.
It was Shaheen.
No, Shaheen.
Oh, Shaheen. My bad. They went and gave Shaheen. You're right. They went and gave Shaheen a contract. They went ahead and brought in Stephen Carter, who's probably going to be some other things. They go and draft Hunter Long. If I'm Mike Gesicki, I'm sitting there like, hold on a second. You're going to do all this stuff, and then you're not going to give me an extension?
Mike, you're speaking facts right now.
No, but it's true, right?
No, you're right. 100%.
You run the risk of if he goes and balls out this year, that's great for the team. You're going to be missing that next year.
Let me play devil's advocate. What if the Dolphins are saying, hey, we got Waddle, we got Fuller, we got Devontae, we got Gesicki, we got Hunter Long, we got, there's so many options where maybe let's risk it. Maybe he gets 700 yards and 4 TDs and he can't price himself at 12.5. You get what I'm saying? Like,
no, I know, but I don't think he can price himself at that now.
Well, here's a fun
because
game,
he hasn't done it.
Who, Gesicki?
Yeah.
Nah, bro. Gesicki has
the potential.
Nah, Gesicki has put up way better numbers than Jonnu Smith throughout his career, not just last year, throughout his career. And that for me is like, I don't want to say the direct comparison, but if I'm his agent, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at last year,
and I'm sure that's part of it. And I'm sure that's part of it.
A sub player who's not as good as my client in Gesicki, who's put up more stats. I'm not gonna take less than
put up 100 more yards, 5 less touchdowns in his career, and caught 12 more passes.
And did they get drafted the same year?
I
think Jonnu has more years on him.
2017 draft, 2018 draft, a year ahead of him. Jonnu was selected a year ahead of him. But Jonnu's also been a guy that people have looked at as a beast since his days at FIU.
And Jonnu's also in a completely different system.
Yeah,
right?
Completely.
Because Jonnu's in a system where they're going to run the ball a heck of a lot more than they are with Gesicki.
And that's the same thing that was in Tennessee, which is why the Patriots are probably a really good long-term fit for him.
Right, and then
I never understood the Hunter Henry thing for the Patriots.
And Gesicki also got lucky that he played on a team where the wide receivers couldn't stay healthy to save their lives. So it was throw to Gesicki or throw straight to the ground.
Yep.
Right. So I think there are ways to get around these contract negotiations, and I hear you. But even if it is, what was Jonnu Smith's number again?
12.5.
Yeah.
I think you could get him on a longer term deal, better guarantees.
Was Jonnu Smith 3 or 4 years?
I think it was 3.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't have that.
I'm gonna get it right now.
I just personally I would sign Gesicki because you've seen what Gesicki can do. Right? Those one-handed catches in the middle, that matchup he can win. Add on top of that, now you have all of these guys playing deep
with speed. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a hell of a contract for the Patriots.
I could argue right now, and I feel like I could argue it strongly that Gesicki is our most consistent
catcher.
Yeah, right now.
That's not even an argument. That's 1,000%
either.
Right? Like I feel like Will Fuller can absolutely be number 1 receiver. I'm not doubting him at all. But he's had injuries. He's been inconsistent at times. Devontae, same thing. Waddle, unproven. Albert Wilson, injuries. Like, I'm looking at the offense, and I'm I'm gonna be honest with you. Gesicki got hurt.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. Gesicki got hurt last year. I'm surprised he didn't get hurt a lot sooner because that dude was taking some licks. Because some of those ball positions, and he had to go and get them. hung him out to dry.
And look
like
at
my
this
dude
stat.
took shots.
I looked this up the other day. So Mike Gesicki had 3 games in 2020 where he got 10 or more targets. In those 3 games, he had 8 catches, 130 yards, 1 touchdown against the Bills week 3. He had 9 catches, 88 yards, 1 TD against the Bengals, and 5 catches for 47 yards against the Bills.
Yeah, and I think part of what the Dolphins are going to be doing or are trying to do is they think they can get him for cheaper if they are even interested in re-signing him. And what their thought process is, well, you know what? We'll throw it to all these other guys. So your stat line is going to end up being lower, and then we're not going to pay you as much. But then guess what? If I'm Mike Gesicki at that point, honest to God truth, I just go to another team.
Yeah, I'm betting on myself.
And I'm betting on myself. I'm going to go to another team that's going to throw me the ball more.
Franchise me.
Would you do a 1-year deal if you're Mike? Like, let's say he bets on himself on a 1 year. You don't think?
No,
because that seems like something that like
he's young enough. He's young enough and he's healthy enough that I'm down.
You know what? It's not more.
Boys,
so that for
I hate
me.
to interrupt you, but we have a special guest. If he's ready.
Is he coming in for now or for the after?
Oh, the Godfather!
I was just on a stream with this guy talking Space Jam.
I've been on every fucking show on this network today.
I love it. We love the support,
commitment side of things.
All right, so then Alfredo, just settle this, right? Because I'm on the boat for re-sign Gesicki, give him an extension. They are also on the boat, but they're a little more. They understand what's happening. What are your thoughts, right? Give us some of those like real 3YPC thoughts.
My thoughts are you got to watch like the first month of the season. Okay. If you watch the first month of the season, they're going to tell you everything you need to know. By the way, is my sound good now or?
It's a little echoey.
There's a bit of a hum, but you're good.
Yeah, but it's whatever.
There's a hum?
Yeah.
Yes.
How about now?
Actually, the hum's gone.
It's good.
That's good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you're going to have to watch the first 3 games of the season. And it's going to be evident to everybody, really. Okay? Once you watch the games and you're like, okay, where is Mike Gesicki? If he's nowhere to be found and the offense just hums along perfectly, then you kind of get your answer. Like, okay, they don't need this guy. They don't need a $10 million a year tight end. They're probably going to trade him. And who knows? They might even trade him at the deadline this year. If the offense is rolling by the deadline.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Let's say the offense is averaging 30 points a game. Team is doing good. And Mike Gesicki has like 8 catches by the deadline.
Yeah.
They might say, you know what? Maybe we can get a 2nd-round pick for him now. You know? And they might just trade him. I just
think, man, if you got those weapons out there, if you've got the speed of Waddle and Fuller, you've got the great over-the-head catching, you're not going to be able to defend him with Devontae Parker. And then you put Mike Gesicki in the middle of all that. You have nothing else left to defend him with other than a linebacker who's not going to be fast enough, or you're going to put an extra DB out there who's going to be way too small. I think to me, my thought process is he can be such a lethal weapon that I hope they aren't saying, you know what, let's not target him too much in the offense so that we can make sure to get that cheaper contract possibility or just trade him later. You know, I just think it could work so well.
And that happens. And that happens all the time in the NFL, by the way.
Like you can tell.
And that, I like I said earlier, I don't know if you caught it. Like if I'm Mike Gesicki and I can tell that's what they're doing, they're not giving me the ball because they want to not get me paid right. If they're pulling I'll call them out. They're pulling a Marlins and they're keeping me in the minor leagues so that they don't have to have another year for arbitration or whatever it is. Listen, I'm out the door, and I don't.
I heard a story once. I heard a story once that I don't know if it's how true it was or not, but it was the Dolphins. Like in the early 2000s, there was an incentive. I think in one of the contracts for one of the wide receivers. I think it was James McKnight or something like that, right? And the Dolphins had a playoff spot kind of locked up, and McKnight needed like 30 yards or something like that to get a bonus, a big ass bonus. Yeah. And they decided to bench him like the last game of the season. And when they asked Jimmy or they asked Wannstedt said, no, it's, we're going to the playoffs, so we got to start sitting all our people. Bro. And of course, he didn't sit any. He didn't sit. Zach Thomas didn't sit. Jason Taylor didn't sit.
Gosh. And then people wonder why somebody like X might be saying, hey, get me some money. Yeah. It's wild. I don't think we had
the wildest one. And this one I know off the top of my head. It was Adrian Peterson like 6 or 7 years ago when he was really, really good with Minnesota. It wasn't the 2,000-yard bonus, but it was the 15 touchdown bonus. And he had 14 touchdowns and they actually brought in somebody else to hand him the ball at the 1 yard line in the last game of the season. This is a season where he had 2,000 yards, and I think that bonus was like $1 million.
Motherfuckers, bro.
Yeah.
And the players know this too. That's the thing. The players know it's coming.
But here's my question, right? Was there a call in the middle of the game, or did the GM and the coach sit down before and they were like, listen, watch out this next game?
They track this shit.
No, I know they track it, but is it like they call him in the middle of the game and they're like, listen, boot him out. I'm not paying him $1 million.
Nah, it's more so like before the week. It's like, hey, any goal line,
try to give it to somebody else, right? The game plan.
Game plan it out. Maybe pass a couple times.
Yeah, Adrian Peterson in that game, he had like a 46-yard run where you see where he just got tripped up. He needed to beat like one more guy to the end zone.
He knew it.
And he was laying on his back, and you see that he was all depressed. And the announcers were like, "Oh, Adrian Peterson really wanted that one." And then it turns out, he really did.
Yeah, I wonder why.
They asked him after the game. He was like, "Man, I was trying to score on that one."
Man, that's such a freaking.
I don't know how they do it. You can only be. I feel like you can only be so politically correct to where it's like, "Fuck, bro! Like they couldn't give me that damn ball at the 1 yard line." Like.
And the team's got the money. The team's got the money.
And you know what too? Sometimes it's like a status thing too, because I don't care what people tell me. They did not give Marshawn the ball at the 1 because they wanted Russell to win it. That for me will always be the scenario that I painted in my head.
Nah, I think it was just what's his name? Pete Carroll trying to be like, I can win this more than just like I'll have the outsmarting play. Right, like I'll beat Bill Belichick with what he doesn't expect, not just pounding it at the 1.
Yeah, Adam Gase was like the nicest guy ever for those things because there was stories of him like trying to get bonuses for guys.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, he got one for Jay Ajayi. I remember that.
It's too bad he was a total dick. All right. I mean, he was. Somebody tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong.
I mean,
you guys are so
there's
funny,
only one person here that really got suckered, though, huh, Juan? All right. That's 2 weeks in a row with Alfredo where I bring up your season tickets after Adam Gase's season. I think that was all we had planned. Thank you, Alfredo, for jumping on and settling this Gesicki debate in the most knowledgeable way we could. None of the three of us had thoughts as good as that one. Thank you to Houtz so much for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure to have him here. Kai and Juan, gracias, amigos. Appreciate it. We'll be back next week.
This show.
I love you, Kai.
Bro, Kai, you're the best. We'll be back next week, Wednesday. Training camp starts next Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
So we will have 1 day of training camp to dissect.
Oh, no, we're talking about all of Tua's interceptions. We're going to talk about Jakeem Grant dropping passes. We're going to talk about Miles Gas.
Oh, 19 dropping passes? I love that.
Hold on a second. And we're going to talk our guys at training camp. Alfredo, you are going. Looking forward to those tweets. Make sure to follow him. Juan, you're going. Make sure to follow him and get those tweets. I think Lewis is also going, whether that be with the credentialing or anything else. Listen, we're going to have a lot of people covering Dolphin stuff. And if there's something I know, the newspapers are lagging. I'm not going to lie. They're lagging. 5 Reasons Sports is a place to keep it locked in.
Yeah.
Huh?
Or have their narratives to follow.
Yeah, I wasn't going to call them out for that, but we all know that happens. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will be back next week. Till then, fins up.